Immigration policy has become a heated debate across the West, with countries grappling over how to balance economic needs, humanitarian obligations, and social cohesion. You can look at examples in the UK, where race riots essentially occurred, illegal migration in the US, or my native country of Ireland, where thousands have been protesting migrant camps being set up by their government without their consent. But amidst this debate, Denmark, a small Scandinavian nation, noted and often pointed to by progressives, socialists, and the left more broadly, for its generous social welfare, its liberal attitude to abortion and gay marriage, its long history of social democratic values, as well as its ranking in the World Happiness Index, has emerged with a unique and controversial approach. Its own left-wing government has admitted that multiculturalism has failed, instituting laws that breaks up groups of immigrants that refuse to integrate into Danish society. The Danish government even created a re-migration plan, offering non-EU immigrants and dual citizens a financial package to return to their home country. So what has caused this change from the quote, open and tolerant Scandinavian country and the reference point in political science for near-perfect governance? To understand Denmark's transformation, we first must appreciate the nation's deep-seated social democratic values. The Social Democratic Party has dominated Danish politics, governing almost uninterrupted since the 1920s. It was instrumental in establishing the famed Nordic welfare model, particularly through the Kanslergården Agreement, which laid the foundation for Denmark's extensive state welfare system. The agreement expanded labour rights, provided subsidies to farmers, adopted a mixed economy, blending private enterprise with state-run services. This historical backdrop is crucial, as it sets the stage for the seismic political shifts that begin to unfold in recent years. The 2015 election is my starting point. Issues that preceded this election were scandals in the made Danish centre-right party, the Venstre, continued economic uncertainty following the 2008 financial crash, coupled with the wave of immigration during the 2014 refugee crisis. This all led to the meteoric rise of the Dansk Folkeparti, or the Danish People's Party, a right-wing populist party that rose to second place, close behind the political juggernaut of the Danish Social Democrats. This visibly and visually demonstrates the shift in Danish opinion, with the Social Democrats led then by Helen Thorning-Schmidt taking in a record number of refugees, per capita giving Denmark's small population size. The Danish people took notice. This wave of immigration caused parallel societies to form in some of these major migrant housing areas, highlighted to some Danes the unwillingness to assimilate into Danish cultural norms from these migrants, coupled with alarming crime rates, along with their disproportionate use of the Danish Social Welfare Fund. The Danish people demanded action. The Danish People's Party gained 10% from the election previous, winning 21% of the popular vote, and gained 15 seats, having 37 in total. Though they did not win the election outright, as the Social Democrats were still the largest party, it was enough for a right-wing blue bloc coalition to be formed, with the Danish People's Party and the Venstre and other centre-right parties, while other issues such as rural alienation, the denigration of rural infrastructure, played a major role in this election. Immigration was undoubtedly the dominant theme. However, since then the Danish People's Party has seen its support wane, largely due to the emergence of new right-wing parties, such as the Danish Democrats and the New Right. Yet in a fascinating twist, the Social Democrats have adopted many of the Danish People's Party's immigration policies. Some may view this as a cynical political manoeuvre, while others will see it as a pragmatic response to voters' concerns. Either way, the results are undeniable. The Social Democrats secured their best election result in 2 decades in 2022. My key insights for the West: a call for sovereign realism. Denmark's immigration policies offer profound lessons for Western nations, lessons that transcend mere border control and cultural integration. At the core, these policies reflect a sophisticated understanding of national sovereignty, the preservation of cultural identity, and the necessity for a state to prioritise the well-being of its own citizens. Denmark's approach is not just a pragmatic response to immigration, but also a deeply philosophical model that aligns with the timeless principles articulated in Plato's Republic, where societal harmony depends on shared values with a common identity. In Plato's The Republic, Plato emphasises the importance of a cohesive society where each class performs its appropriate role for the greater good of the polis. This principle can be extrapolated to the national context, where the preservation of a unified cultural and moral framework is essential for societal stability. Plato warns against the dangers of excessive diversity within a state, suggesting that when groups within a society no longer share the same fundamental values or visions of a good life, discord is inevitable. This is precisely the challenge Western countries face today. Parallel societies are forming within their borders, often resistant to integration, which in turn erodes social cohesion. Denmark's immigration policies, which emphasise integration and even remigration for those unwilling to assimilate, reflect a platonic understanding of the importance of a unified citizenry. For too long, many Western nations and its leaders have adhered to a naive, idealistic vision of multiculturalism, believing that unregulated influx of migrants, regardless of background, culture or values, would seamlessly integrate into their societies. Denmark's shift offers a clear rebuttal to this premise. Plato's Republic speaks to the concept of koinonia, or a deep communal sharing of life and values. He argues that a successful state is one in which citizens are bound together, not just by laws, but by shared ideals, values, and an overarching sense of the common good. In this context, Danish policies serve as the modern embodiment of this principle, where national identity and cultural continuity are recognised as foundational to the health of the state. The Danish approach reminds us that humanitarian impulses, while important, must not come at the expense of the community's shared identity. A society that prioritises unrestricted multiculturalism over cultural cohesion risks becoming fragmented and divided, a reality that Plato would argue undermines the very foundation of justice within the state. For the West, this insight is crucial. Countries like France and the UK and the US have seen the rise of what Plato would describe as internal factions, where segments of the population, often aligned along ethnic or cultural lines, pursue divergent interests that conflict with the broader aims of society. Plato's warnings against factionalism in the Republic are stark, when groups within a society prioritise their own identity and interests above the common good. The polis or the state loses its identity, unity, and ultimately its ability to govern effectively. Denmark, by taking measures to prevent the formation of such internal divisions, embodies a form of governance that Plato will approve of. A governance that is aware of the fragility of social harmony and the necessity of maintaining it through careful regulation of who belongs within the citizenry. Moreover, Denmark's policies reflect Plato's assertion that governance must be both pragmatic and aligned with the principle of phronesis, or practical wisdom. The Social Democrats' decision to adopt stricter immigration measures was not a populist ploy, but a reflection of this kind of wisdom. The recognition that governance is about safeguarding the interests of the state and its people above abstract ideals. Plato's philosopher king, after all, governs with an eye towards the good of the whole society, not swayed by transient trends or misguided ideals of universalism that ignore the specific needs of the polis. Denmark's model should resonate deeply. Plato insists that a well-governed state must cultivate virtue amongst its citizens, and that the ruler's foremost duty is to ensure that the values of the state are preserved and transmitted. Denmark's firm stance on immigration and integration echoes this Platonic principle, by encouraging remigration for those unwilling to adopt Danish social norms, and by placing a premium on cultural cohesion. Denmark is doing precisely what Plato suggests, ensuring the state remains aligned with its foundational values, thus avoiding the disillusion of its moral and cultural fabric. Denmark's success also dismantles the false dichotomy between being a welfare state and maintaining strict immigration control. As Plato would argue, the health of the state depends on its ability to maintain order, and ensure that its citizens are committed to the common good. In the Danish case, their strong welfare state is sustainable precisely because it is supported by a cohesive population that shares a sense of duty to the collective well-being. Plato's vision of justice in the Republic underscores the point. Justice is achieved when each part of society works harmoniously within the whole, contributing to the flourishing of the state. Similarly, Denmark's welfare model thrives because it is not undermined by unchecked immigration, which could threaten the sense of shared social responsibility that it sustains. For Western nations struggling with the challenges of mass immigration and cultural fragmentation, Denmark's experience serves as a powerful case study in sovereign realism. Plato's Republic reminds us that a state's primary obligation is to its citizens, and that without a shared moral and cultural framework, no society can endure. The West, in its current trajectory, risks losing the very foundation of unity that underpins its democratic institutions. To conclude, Denmark's immigration policies are not merely tactical adjustments. They are a profound reaffirmation of the Platonic principle that a well-governed state must prioritise the preservation of its cultural and moral identity. For Western nations facing similar pressures, Denmark offers a clear path forward, one grounded in practical wisdom, respect for national and an unwavering commitment to the integrity of the state. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, as this helps the channel. Follow my Twitter in the description. I've been History with Matt. Thank you very much for watching.